Hello, and welcome to Battle of the Beast New Protectors Era, episode number 8. I still need to think about a new title for this. Maybe New Protectors Edition? New Protectors Edition, maybe? I don't know. I'll try New Protectors Edition in the next episode. But for this episode, we have two more beasts fighting out for one of the last remaining spots in round 2. And with the two beasts fighting out here, I do think this is a bit of an obvious matchup, but there's a lot of fun I can have with this one. So that's why I saved it for one of the last battles of round 1. So I got something to look forward to. God, I'm a psychopath. Let's introduce these beasts. Representing Series 29, Guardians of Tangala. This beast is the first beast that you go against, that you see in Series 29, and really tested Wraith's determination as well as courage when it came to fighting this beast and also defending his home village. I'm talking about Kalderon, the Iron Bear. Versus a representative of Series 32, Bassalon Carador. This beast sticks out to myself, Lucas, and Jack for being one of the most underwhelming beasts of this series. However, I still see some good points from her. However, I don't think it's enough to really warrant any really good comments for this beast. Also battled by Wraith and his animal companion Rugara, we have Makroxa, the Tunneling Terror. So with Kalderon versus Makroxa, I do think this is a case of pest control, but I think I can have fun with this one. That's what I plan to do. I'm going to do the Fallen Kingdom arena, and that will make sense why later. So with that, let's just get to the abilities, as there's no bios for any of these beasts in the Holy Bible at all, because the Holy Bible is that out of date. And with that, I can't say let's get to the stats. So let's get to the abilities. Kalderon the Iron Bear. Powers and abilities for Kalderon are natural weaponry, ignition, and flame aura. Kalderon can coat himself in flames by scratching his claws against his armor. Metal absorption and size enhancement. Kalderon can absorb metal into his armor to gain more power and increase in his size. Liquid metal and spark manipulation. Kalderon can release globs of liquid metal and sparks from his fur, which can ignite his surroundings. Heat manipulation. Kalderon radiates extreme amounts of heat, enough to batter people. Fire and lava resistance. Enhanced strength and enhanced durability. Weaknesses are extreme water weakness and metal absorption limit. Kalderon has a limit on how much metal he can absorb. Makroxa, the Tunneling Terror. Makroxa's abilities consist of sharp claws, sharp fangs, enhanced speed and enhanced durability, burrowing, and heightened smell and hearing. Weaknesses are flammable fur. Okay, so with the stats department done for Kalderon and Makroxa, Battlefield, as I said, would be the Fallen Kingdom arena, and with that, let's get into this. As the chamber doors open, Kalderon immediately makes his way out of the chamber, making slow strides as he makes his way to the center of the arena and stares up at all the spectators looking down on him, cheering for him, not knowing his name, but knowing that he looks incredible. Meanwhile, Makroxa goes out through the underground exit, burrowing tunnels underneath the whole arena, and as he's doing that, Kalderon feels a faint rumbling underneath him, almost like there is a beast underneath him. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this. Yeah, as Makroxa continues digging his tunnels around under the arena, Kalderon is feeling the faint vibrations, realizing there's a beast underneath here. He decides he's actually going to not let the beast finish his tunnels. He lifts up a claw and slams it down into the arena, causing the ground to shake and the tunnels to collapse, along with the buildings around the arena to start tumbling in due to the uneven surface. Makroxa sees this and immediately digs further down to prevent himself being caught in the fallen buildings. Kalderon, however, sees this and just lifts up his claws, covers his head, and just lets all the rubble hit him, but doesn't actually do any major damage at all, as it just bounces off him. Calderon, as soon as the buildings finish falling and dust is everywhere, Calderon uses his claws, scratches his armor to create sparks to show the spectators that he's still alive, as well as chucking globs of hot metal over some parts of the arena as a little trap for later. Eventually, Makroxa does come out and immediately sees Calderon. Realizing that is a rat versus a bear, Makroxa decides that he's going to need to try and use something to his advantage to defeat Kalderon. As he digs under a rather deep pit underneath Kalderon, he then comes up underneath Kalderon to immediately go into a side tunnel, which he made as well, causing Kalderon to fall into a kind of pit. But Kalderon digs his claws into the edge of the pit, and using all his strength, he pulls himself out of the pit, to be greeted by Makroxa charging up towards him, bouncing from one rocky surface to another, from left to right, bouncing up towards him before charging up to him with his claws bared out, ready to just pounce on Kalderon. Kalderon gets up, sees this, and using one claw, grabs Makroxa mid-air, pinned by the neck, causing his entire body to jolt forward, before Kalderon immediately slams Makroxa into the floor of the arena. The spectators, shocked by that very sudden jolt from Makroxa having the advantage to Kalderon now having the advantage, immediately start cheering for Kalderon for showing such badassery, for catching Makroxa mid-air with one paw and slamming him into the ground. As Kalderon digs his claws into Makroxa's neck, Makroxa uses his claws to scratch at Kalderon, only to immediately recoil after realizing how hot Kalderon actually is. At that point, Makroxa realizes he's in trouble, and Kalderon realizes that as well, and decides to pick up Makroxa and chuck her away to, get some background intelligence on Kalderon to figure out how she can defeat him. As she's scurrying around the arena, unbeknownst to Makroxa, she steps on one of her paws on the liquid metal, which immediately traps her in place as she screeches in pain from her paw being boiled in liquid metal. Kalderon just laughs before scratching his armor again. With two more globs of hot metal in his hand, he chucks them over to Makroxa, and that starts burning away at his fur, as her fur, as her flesh is starting to bubble, toil, and trouble. That kind of thing. Eventually, Kalderon goes up to Makroxa, grabs her by the scruff of her neck, and yanks her out of the metal glob that she was stuck in, for slamming her into the wall of the arena, and concentrating so much heat into his paw that he starts burning away at the back of Makroxa's neck, and also the back of her head. As Makroxa's screeching in pain over this, Kalderon slams Makroxa's mouth shut, so then the screeching won't be as loud or ear-piercing, as Makroxa's being boiled alive from the inside from Kalderon's insane heat. Eventually, Kalderon drops Makroxa, and Makroxa is not moving at all. At this point, Makroxa's dead. Kalderon, wanting to go the extra step further, bites down into Makroxa's stomach before digging his claws on either side of his mouth and tearing apart at Makroxa's flesh in one fell swoop, and biting down at the innards, shattering Makroxa's ribcage in the process, before lifting up his head, seeing the carcass of Makroxa left, and lifting up one paw and slamming it down onto Makroxa's head, shattering the skull entirely, and leaving Kalderon as the sole beast left in this arena, before he makes his way back to his chamber, scratching his claws along the surface, causing sparks to fly. And all the spectators can do is just cheer for this insanely quick and dominating victory. So for that, Kalderon has won, Makroxa's lost. If you think Makroxa should have won, please leave in the comments below why you think that, how are my words final, and Kalderon's moving on to the next round. So with Kalderon beating Makroxa, I'm being completely honest when I say I do think this was the most obvious matchup of the entire round. And that's because Makroxa is a very flammable beast, and Kalderon is technically a fire-related beast. So that was already unfair from the start. So that's why I gave it a. That's why I gave them a battlefield which should kind of help Makroxa in a way, and it did. So rubble can snuff out the fire, the heat anyway, but causing sparks to fly and the metal globs to go, it was just going to heat. He was just going to heat up more. And with that, that's how. With Makroxa literally being able to do nothing else to even stop Kalderon just, it was just a case of how long will it take Kalderon to defeat Makroxa? And the answer is not long at all. So with that, that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you like what you saw, sorry, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press on the notification bell down in the corner below. I butchered that outro, and I'll see you next time.